Guys, welcome everyone to GMB Pros on a Wednesday night. I appreciate everyone that's on the live, those that are catching the replay. I appreciate you and I thank you. Today we're going to have VA Daniel Jones Sr. is going to come on. He's on a marathon, I think, Zoom meetings today. He was just on like 4 hours ago. And speaking of the devil, there he is. So, guys, we're talking about everything VAs, right? How to level up any questions you may have, how to level up your business with VAs. Daniel is our a friend. Let me get him privileges here. There he is, the man, the legend,
Hi,
marathoner. I just seen you were on a live like 4 hours ago, right?
me? Oh, I know what happened. I wasn't live 4 hours ago. I'm using this new tool that I discovered that allows me to post my content everywhere, dude.
Got
So
it. Yeah.
it's like a one piece, and I can schedule it out, man. Like I got my content scheduled like a month out, being posted in like 22 different platforms.
Love it, man. I just talked about that recently this week, right? On Monday, in fact, I gave an over the shoulder of how to do like content through Canva, right? I just want to get our people started, just get out there, how easy. And like in, I don't know, 30 minutes, we did like yeah, I think we did 2 days. Oh, and then I showed them how to do it on their phone and to four different platforms. But I love it, man.
What?
That's excellent.
Well, most of the audience, they're SEO guys, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So most of our group, those that are here live and watching the replay, they're marketers, they're entrepreneurs. And so our ultimate goal here is basically to help everyone here either two things. One, to help grow their agency or help get their clients results, right? That's
Yeah.
like our ultimate goal.
I've been in the agency space for placing talent and really learning marketing myself, right? When you work with so many agencies, you start learning marketing really well. And I will say this, right? And for any agency out there, if you don't mind, um it's there, how we're posting our content is like we have one day where we do a new client alert. It lets people know that we got new clients coming in. Then we have another day where we post client testimonial. We post, maybe behind the scenes of how we're, fulfilling our clients. So they just don't see new client, they don't see testimonial, they see that fulfillment. And it's really about getting the buzz going and letting everybody know this is what we're doing for our clients, right? And
Love it.
agencies can do that all day, and it will
Yes.
really
Yeah.
work. It will organically generate them clients.
100%, 100%. So for those of you that don't know who Daniel Jones Sr. is, and I love it because I hop on your page, right? And like the first post there that you have, this guy here in the last 8 years, right? Married his VA appointment setter, right? At that time, now what you have four kids?
Dude, yeah, the fourth one came home a week ago, man.
Yes, for four
They're
kids.
they're coming every 2 years.
Awesome. I love it. Love it. Now, do you currently live overseas or are you still here?
Just 1 second. Someone just trying to enter the room. Is this a guest?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I currently have been living overseas since 2016. I haven't been back to the US. I came over here. I was living in Miami. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. Traveled and moved to Seattle. Then went to school a little bit. Really wasn't my thing. Went to school a little bit in Seattle. Then moved to Miami. From Miami, I climbed my way, into corporate, out of corporate, and then moved overseas to open up a call center. Thought it was gonna be able to take me 3 months. So I thought, like, I'm gonna go overseas. I'm gonna spend 3 months overseas. I'm gonna build a call center. I'm going to move back and I'm going to, create something that's going to generate an income and it's going to, pay me, right? Yeah, that didn't happen like that. There's we
Now,
had like, good.
overseas is where? Like,
I'm in Eastern Europe, dude. I am right on the
okay,
border. I'm on the right on the border of Albania, living in Macedonia.
nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
cool over here, dude.
pretty
Eastern Europe.
interesting. Got it. Okay, awesome. So, in giving you your kudos, builds what is that? 8 agency call centers, interviewed 53,000 virtual assistants, trained 14,000 virtual assistants, handpicked 1,500 virtual assistants, handpicked and hired yourself, right? And has helped now over 440 virtual assistants with 440 employees out there, right? Or employers. So I say all this to say, guys, that Daniel knows what he's talking about, right? He's been in the grind, he's been in the down in the trenches, and so he knows a little bit about VAs, right? And this has been it's really odd, right? It's like the timing is perfect because I've been getting a lot of questions, even with like William Jones and our assistants and how it works and what's the process. So, man, why don't you kind of take us a deep dive on yourselves. Tell us kind of your journey. I know you started a little bit, but how you got here, maybe the pitfalls, and us as agencies, what should we look for, and kind of take us into your world.
I mean, yeah, just going back, coming from Buffalo, New York, really, lower middle class area, did my, kind of went through like the foster home, group home system. Decided like, I want to travel, man. I want to see the world, moved to Seattle, from Seattle to Miami. Didn't really have any skills, didn't really, know anything about life, kind of took whatever job I can get and realized that I was really good at sales and I was really good at sales and call centers, man. And, ended up being a lead broker. Um, and then just ended up connecting with other lead brokers, dude. And yeah, got an offer where a guy from over here in North Macedonia said, "Hey, man, do you want to help me build a call center?" And, at this time, I'm just like kind of, a freelancer working from, my living room, commission based, just wishing for that opportunity. And, I ran into that opportunity. I said, yeah, man, yeah, let's do it, dude. Um, didn't know anything about Eastern Europe, didn't know anything about overseas, man. And 2016, I decided to just, come out here. Like I said, was planning on being here for 3 months, going back to my, creating a nice income to, pay for a nice condo in Miami and Brickell, dude. And it didn't work out like that, dude. I realized that, building my first call center, there was a lot of systems we had to create. I had no idea what a system was, what a SOP was. I had no idea what anything was, but what I learned inside the previous call center I worked for. So, I slowly started, creating systems, man, training employees, teaching employees that didn't speak English as their first language, how to, pronunciate words and whatnot. And again, this is back in 2016 when there was like no call centers over here. Now there's a call center on every corner. But nonetheless, yeah, dude, we went from one winning model to another winning model. We built another center and slowly we started building call centers through Eastern Europe, through Albania, Kosovo, Macedonia, Serbia, all the way into Latin America, all the way into the Caribbean. And what we realized is we were spending most of our time in the beginning training talent, people that didn't really have any experience. And we slowly started realizing that we're spending more time training people that we really don't need to train if we start hiring, high performers. So we got more and less into the high performing performance model. And we started realizing that hiring high performers with a hybrid of accepting entry level applicants was kind of the way to go. So
No,
yeah, we built everything from the ground up, man. And I led by example. Everything that I asked someone to do inside the company, I mastered myself first.
love it, love it. So when it comes to VAs, Daniel, like, there's so many different price points. There's so many different jobs. Like, okay, from an agency as a marketer, for example, Raphael's going through that, trying different agency, what works, what doesn't, like that heavy lifting at the beginning. Like, what kind of insight can you give, like, our marketing group as far as like, hey guys, when it comes to VAs, like, what tips can you give us, especially for the beginning? Like, let's start with picking somebody. How would you go, like, to pick somebody, or do you go with jobs, or where do you start looking as far as to pick somebody?
So before picking somebody, we have to realize what's the need of the role, right? We're not hiring a virtual assistant to do everything because, a lot of people think like a virtual assistant is just this low brain individual that's just going to do these municipal tasks and, just kind of like go all over the place. No, these VAs, that's just someone who's working from home. That's a title that they give themselves or overseas or working from home. But these VAs specialize in something. Maybe they specialize in marketing. Maybe they specialize in sales. Maybe they specialize in client support. So before picking somebody, you have to understand like who is going to first off, what do I need? Who do I need? Okay. Well, let's get that job description down pat. Of course you want a virtual assistant who's going to run your own whole company and you want them to do everything in the company. It's unfreaking realistic. Stop doing it. You're just wasting your time because what's happening is you're interviewing people who need a job so bad that they're, overselling themselves and telling you they can do it all. And they're staying with you for a week or two, and then they're leaving because it's just too much, right? You need to start defining what do you need in your company. I like focusing on when I'm building a company, the things that bring me the money first. So that's appointments. I need appointments. Now, how am I going to get appointments? Well, that's going to be easy. Marketing and a junior sales role. So I want to do things that is going to bring me, the income through marketing. So I'm going to hire a VA to nonetheless, maybe do some videos, or maybe a content director, someone that's going to plan out all my social media postings and tell me I need to film this or give me content ideas, and then eventually I hire a video editor. And then after that, I hire an appointment setter, or maybe I don't want to do the marketing at all and I just want to cold call. So I need to, kind of like, test out my scripting, do the dials myself, figuring out what works, doesn't work. And then once I get a process in, I'll hire an appointment setter. And, after you understand what your KPIs are, what your benchmarks are, how many calls it takes to generate X amount of appointments, that's when you could start hiring more appointment setters, and then you could start hiring more salespeople. Nonetheless, it's really figuring out what the job description is. What do you actually need? Marketers have to focus only on three things: marketing for themselves, sales, and client fulfillment. If any of those three things are lacking, their whole organization is going to crumble. So once you understand what you need to hire for, now it's about creating a process that's going to generate you interested people that want to work with you. How do we do that? You can do two things. You could headhunt, which is something that we are really good at. We go into our competitors' organizations. We go into other organizations. We find, other companies that we know have a great screening process, a great vetting process, and we reach out to some of their employees and just wait for those employees to not really be happy in the company and want to make another transition into another company. And then we snatch up the best talent. Or you could post out ads, get a lot of people applying with your company because they hear about you, they see what you're posting on Facebook, Instagram, they know what your company's about, they're very interested in working with a company like yourselves. Nonetheless, you need a really, really, really good screening process, whether that's them applying through a pre-qualification, whether they're going through a pre-qualification, 2-3 interviews. I'm laying down our whole process, by the way. A week full of personality testing, and then getting a group of qualified applicants and putting them through a group training, and then seeing who has great internet, who has leadership capabilities, who's showing up on time, who's showing up early, who is not, and then finding the most placeable or most hireable or desirable candidates, and then onboarding them into your company. That would be a way to hire high performers.
Now, I hear it. So that process, could it be like for those of 0 to 5K, 0 to 10K, 0 to 20K kind of company?
You know what? There's gonna be a lot of guys online that are gonna say, if you're 0 to 5K, you shouldn't hire. And I want to say, yeah, I think that's practical. I think that you should not be hiring if you're at 5K. But I took the risk, man. I was under 5K. I hired 2 virtual assistants, paid them. Back then it was like 300. Now the above average rate where I'm at is, I think like 500, 600 nonetheless. But I took that risk, hired 2, then eventually hired 4, then hired, eventually got to the floors of 70, 10, 15, 20, then 40, then eventually 70. But nonetheless, it really depends on your circumstance and your situation. I will say this: if you are not in the best financial situation, you need to think of your team first. So put 3 months aside, 2 months aside, make sure you have enough to pay your staff, and then hire. So if you're under 5K, whatever, man, at least put, 3 months aside and say this is payroll. Don't be one of those guys that, hire somebody and then don't pay them.
100%, absolutely. Okay, so it depends on your situation. Have some good screening process. Know the job that you're trying to fulfill. And what I hear you saying is like, guys, for us marketers, sales, marketing, fulfillment, right? And I think for a lot of us, we want to do the marketing, we want to do the sales, the fulfillment part, right? So we go out looking for fulfillment, whether that be like a social media guy, a content guy, a SEO guy. Is it important or like, do I need to come with the SOPs? This is how I want it done. Or is there like, okay, this is Daniel's VA. He's trained on like a basic of this SOP, and then we can plug into that and train him, like do what you learn, but add this in this process. Is there such a thing? Is that even out there?
Well, you have 2 models, right? You could contact an outsourcing agency. We can call them outsourcing, BPO, your traditional VA agency, whatever we want to call them. You could outsource to somebody who already pretty much has the VA's contract, that they have SOPs, whatnot, and you can go through them, right? Or you can bring somebody in internally. You have your own SOPs. Maybe you're troubleshooting, you're figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and you train them on your SOPs. Or maybe you bring on somebody, I don't know, let's say you're an agency, you're a creative agency that does, edits short form videos, right? Well, evidently, you'd want to bring on maybe a creative director, you'd want to bring on a video editor, and that creative director should be able to help you with fulfillment, create the ideas, maybe even bring on a copywriter, someone. So you could, really focus on the fulfillment. But I also think the most important part of fulfillment is also the way you treat your clients as well, the way you make them feel through the experience, and bringing on that client account manager, someone who consistently maintains the relationship with the client, brings the feedback between you and also the fulfillment team. But to answer your question, you could either outsource fulfillment, which is a very popular model when you're getting started out, or you could hire an internal team, which is something that you're going to want as you grow larger. If you outsource, it is going to be a little bit more pricier versus, bringing on that in-house team. But if you bring on that in-house team, you better have your ducks in a row.
100%, absolutely.
Have those SOPs.
Got it. And I think I love how you said, hey, I've done everything in my business, so I know what the expectation level is. I know what the KPIs is. I know how many calls I need to get, which equal, appointments, scripting, and whatnot. So I love that. So it's kind of like a model to take, right, guys? When we're hiring, whether it be whoever in-house, but absolutely we can leverage the William Jones out there, right, with our VAs and just knowing the process, the onboarding, time frame, communication. I think it's huge, huge, huge. Now, can you speak on, Daniel, a little bit like platform-wise as far as project management? Like how important, like, some pitfalls, I know you have like the cost centers, right? They're setting up appointments for these businesses or, selling maybe the product, but you have these call centers. What's the communication like with the client? How does that look
Well,
like?
well, just to back up, we no longer have the call center model. What we
Okay.
do is we actually recruit VAs at local rate, tell our clients you should pay this VA above local rate, and then we take the VA and we place them directly into the client's business. So they
Got
work
it.
directly for the client. We used to have the outsourcing model, the BPO model, the VA agency model, but now we just strictly focus on recruiting, headhunting, training, and then direct placements.
Got it. Okay. Beautiful. So
But
when
back up
you,
project management. Project management is actually so important. And the most important thing is actually having a project management tool in place, having a task management tool, understanding the project, understanding project managers, and understanding the difference between project managers and people managers.
can you tell us more about that?
You have some people that are awesome at managing a project, putting a project together. That doesn't mean that they're awesome at, managing people. You hire people manager to communicate with people, manage people, get them doing everything that the project details. So, like I said, you have people that are awesome at creating the project. It's kind of like, someone writing a blueprint, right? An architect writing the blueprint may be awesome at writing the blueprint, getting everything designed, but that doesn't mean they're great at managing the team that's gonna, build the building, right? So
100%. Yeah, 100%. One of the things that I would definitely suggest and like a pro tip, because I'm going through that right now. So within project management, and maybe you can speak on it a little bit and dig a little deeper. But for example, I'm using ClickUp, right? I want to make sure nothing like the tolerance level for dropping the ball on projects, like dropping the ball on projects, it's a zero tolerance, right? It's that level of expectation, your reputation with the client. So one of the things that I noticed with like ClickUp and then being around people that are a lot ahead than me, is like it's a must, non-negotiable. And within ClickUp is you have to assign it to somebody, right? And you have to put like an expiration or a due date on it. And then so that I think that is huge. Put all your projects in there, put your whole process in there, so nothing falls in the cracks or like, man, we didn't do this or why. Everything should be on this project management. That's what I've learned, and that part I think, Daniel, and you can tell me if you agree or not, should be done almost at day zero, right? You know what your offer is, who you're speaking with, have that process because you can always add to it and polish it and take it away. But if it's on paper, you can assign it either to yourself or somebody else and put a due date on it so it keeps you on track, accountable to your client.
100%. I want to back up the fact that you're talking about project management and due dates.
Mhm.
Because you asked like, how to hire, good virtual assistants. Our screening process really screens them on how well they communicate and if they're able to meet deadlines. Because if they don't have good communication, they can't show that they're able to meet deadlines. What makes you think that a good virtual assistant is going to be able to meet a deadline on your project? So,
Love that. Love that.
yeah,
So you look at everything. Like I know you talked a little bit about showing up on time, showing up early. and showing up late, right? And where they
Yeah.
fit. Uh, Daniel, can you speak on like, okay, so it's no secret, right? VAs, a lot of them are all over the world except the US. Well, even in the US. But when I'm driving, the point is if you can speak on, the whole language barrier, the whole cultural barriers. I know you mentioned a little bit with your VAs, you actually train your call centers, train them how to pronounce things. Like, what's a good lens? Can you frame that how to like deal with that, with the culture difference, with the language barrier, to leverage that to your advantage and not get frustrated and being able to make a win-win situation?
That is probably one of the most toughest things that anybody hiring virtual assistants, any agency trying to do it on their own. That's why a lot of people come to us, or even William, right? Because William and I, we understand the different barriers, the cultural barriers. And how I live in Eastern Europe, man, and you got two religions over here. You got Eastern Orthodox, and you got Islam, right? And can you picture having a team and then, 1 month they're fasting and you're not understanding why the sales are dipping because you don't understand anything about what's going on, them fasting, whatnot, or even, another religion that has to take these days off or this day is off, or, understanding that culture or understanding their management culture, understanding how important their culture is and when it comes to reputation, understanding like how more relaxed they are because they're not used to kind of like the hustle and bustle that we're used to in America. And, understanding how to get them motivated and kind of get them to pick up the speed. That's very tough. I, throughout the years, have really started recruiting since 2020 in areas where there's not a significant language or cultural barrier, such as Latin America and the Caribbean, on U.S. time zones, and even South Africa. South Africa is great. We've got amazing talent from the Philippines, but unless you are like really managing talent from the Philippines, there, you can run into a lot of issues. There is some amazing talent there, but there's a little bit more of a cultural barrier, and it takes a little bit more of an expert who kind of has their boots on the ground to manage, Filipino VAs. In my experience, we've had, like I said, we've had some amazing VAs from the Philippines, but our bread and butter is Latin America and the Caribbean. But yeah, I could take it back to when I first came over to Eastern Europe and how I was teaching my VAs to speak English. One of the predominant languages over here was Albanian. And what I was doing is they had a script that they had to read. Now, I could tell them how to say this word, but it wasn't really comprehensive. So I said, hey, listen, I'm going to say what's on the script. I want you to write it phonetically, how you would pronounce it if you were to read it in your own language. And they did that, and they started learning English very fast. And that's how I taught them how to, say, certain words that were a little bit hard. So we took people that didn't speak English as their first language, and we want to say about 3 to 6 months, you could barely tell that there was an accent. Now, that was back in 2016, 2017. Like I said, we started moving away from Eastern Europe and more into, South Africa, the Caribbean, and Latin America, just because of what you mentioned. There wasn't a significant cultural barrier and there wasn't a language barrier over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, and you want to be sensitive to that. And a kind of a pro tip that I took was, and I know Raphael does this too. So my VA is originally from Bangladesh, right? If you
Amazing talent in English.
Yeah, so if you speak to him, he speaks very well English. The guy, Nick, he makes me shine like freaking amazing when it comes to text and email, right? And he makes me look very good. But the pro tip that I want to take there is he speaks different languages. And I made him my project manager, so leverage that. Hey, speak to this person in your native language, and then like you said, all of a sudden that light bulb turns on because that cultural difference in the sense like now they're communicating and the way to best describe it is, for example, I'm from originally from Costa Rica. When we speak, sometimes we might be describing the situation or the feeling, right? Versus
Yeah.
like in America, we just speak like literal, maybe, right? So if like, man, what are you talking about? Because I don't feel or see what you're talking about. Versus if somebody were to speak to me like in Costa Rica, now I understand what you mean or what you want to paint because I can feel and picture what you're trying to tell me, right? So I
Co-
leverage that.
one of the cultural barriers that we ran into Costa Rica, because we recruit a lot in Costa Rica, especially for real estate wholesalers. And like when you hire someone in Costa Rica, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or generalizing too much, but in the first 3 months, they're super motivated to work. But after that 90-day mark, they start losing motivation. So we've had to figure out a way to work with the clients to keep them motivated or change something up or gamify whatever to keep them motivated after that 90-day mark. Cause that's what we seen that we were running into. And I don't know if you noticed that being from Costa Rica, but we were noticing that significantly down in Costa Rica.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that in the sense because in Costa Rica, education is huge, right? So the more you're educated, you have this ambiance, like I'm educated, I should be doing more. I thought this was more, or they should be promoting whatever that frame is. I think maybe it's a little bit in every area, but yeah, I can see that happening for sure.
It's
It's
interesting that you say that too, because you mentioned promotion, and a lot of mistakes that I see a lot of companies make is they hire somebody and they don't promote from within. They hire and they want to promote from outside the company, and that's another way to keep your VAs motivated. Is people don't understand that a lot of these countries are just how do I say this? A lot of these countries are backwards. They're not, people are getting jobs based on, politics. Okay. I don't think people understand that how, backwards things can be. Right. And people want to break away from that system. So they don't want to get a job based on someone they know. They don't want to get a promotion based on a friend they know. What they want is they want an equal opportunity to climb the ladder from the ground up. So if you are an American company and you're coming in and you say, hey, listen, we're a serious American company. Maybe we're newer, maybe we're not, but we promote only from within, meaning when you start, you have an opportunity to climb the ladder and climb up the company. That's what VAs want. A VA doesn't want to stay stagnant and stay at the same thing. They want the opportunity to climb up. And if you give them up that opportunity, they will.
100%. Yeah, I love that. Love that. Pro tip, right, guys? Pro tip, like polish your people, train them up. Absolutely. Um, and I think we all have that one. I know, I don't know if you know Lane. Lane talks about his one. Chase talks about the one. Like they can almost do everything that kind of came from the ground up and like shined, right? And I know I leverage like even Nick with that, like, hey, talk to them, or he, communicates and disperses all that and manages that. And it's really been a blessing because of that multi language, right? That they can leverage for you, especially if we can switch a little bit since we're not even switch, we're talking about culture. If you can get, let's say in this example, your project manager knowing how you think, what the ultimate goal, like Nick knows in my business, man, the customer comes first. I don't care if I have to take a negative, like, man, we messed up. We have to make it right. The customer, and he speaks to everybody else that way. Like, hey, the customer comes first. So like he starts developing that culture, like, okay, this is important, especially when it's client facing, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, great stuff, kind of like a different frame, a different point of view. I mean, because you've been through it, right?
Yeah.
Now, Daniel, what are some pitfalls? Like, guys, okay, I need help. Man, I can't do this. Whether it be sales, well, fulfillment, we kind of understand. If we can switch gears to the sales part of it, how can a VA from a different country like help me with either whether it's screening or when you talk about sales, what part of sales can a VA help me with, especially if they're from a different country or don't know my product or my service or what I do?
Well, let's start with the basic form of sales, appointment setting, getting you sales opportunities, getting you booked to qualified sales opportunities. We can go from appointment setting all the way to discovery, making that, that second initial contact, booking them for, kind of the closer. So I've seen VAs do it all from the appointment setting all the way to discovery, all the way to closing. Evidently they start off at a junior level. Maybe they're handling inbound leads, and they're calling, booking you appointments. Then you have someone that specializes more in the outbound that takes a little bit more skill. But then they start getting more into outbound. Then you have that person that's trying to move into that sales position. So they're leaving that inbound or outbound to the person doing the qualification discovery, and then from discovery they're actually doing the closing. So I mean, we're talking about people. People are trainable, right? So it
Yes.
doesn't matter where you're from. All people are trainable. If they get enough experience and they talk to enough people, eventually they're going to realize, what a lot of the objections are. The framework of an appointment, the framework of a sales call. And the best VAs are going to start realizing that a sales call is not really selling. It's just identifying a person who is in a state of problem awareness, identifying what their problems are, presenting a solution, and bringing them into a state of solution awareness.
Got it, man. Love that. Love that. I like how you broke that down because, just in my question, right? I was summarizing all of that, and the reality, it's very true, right? You have your appointment setter, you have your discovery call. Does it even qualify to get into a presentation, or what is your problem, right? That state of a problem to be able to move them to a state of a solution, right? So, that's pretty, amazing. You definitely have to break that down, right?
Yeah, it's a science, but like if everybody asked me, what would you say to your I don't know if you're gonna ask it. I'll wait. What would you say to your younger self? You know, I would just I would teach myself what sales is really about. Sales is not about selling. It's really about solving someone's problem and presenting them with a solution.
Absolutely, 100%. That's one thing that I love. I just joined a Solomon's platform, ClickX, and it's cool. It's a cold email platform, right? But there's so much more to that, and there's a whole chunk on just that, like what you're talking about, right? Because so what if we get them on our calendar? Like, you have to take them through that process of, do they qualify the solution, the problem, the solution.
Dude, I get people on my calendar all the time, and there's like people. It's not that I don't want to talk to them, but I just know they're not in a state of solution awareness. They're barely entering the state into their problem aware. So I'll still get on a call with them and I'll still figure out what they want. And a lot of times, they don't know what they want. And we kind of got to like define it like, what's the perfect scenario? What perfect scenario are you looking for? And like, so I get this a lot when they're hiring, especially appointment centers. I just need leads. I need appointments. Okay, do you have a process, where you already converted an appointment? No, I don't. Okay, well, you do understand if you don't have a process and you're hiring an appointment setter, you're going to be, and you don't have your messaging defined to a target audience, there's going to be a lot of A/B testing. So you may not get the results you want. You may spend money on just having someone call and, test your messaging for you. You could do that yourself, but you probably don't want to do that yourself because it's a little tedious. So you could hire an appointment setter, but don't look at this person as an appointment setter. Look at them as someone who's just kind of like making calls, testing your messaging to an audience and seeing if it resonates and whatnot.
Man, love that. Love that. That's freaking excellent, right? Um, yeah, because a lot of us are at different stages, right? And we don't know what we don't know. Or like, hey,
That's
I've heard this whole thing about appointment setters, but is it such a thing of putting the horse before the carriage, right? Do you have that pipeline? Do you have the niche? Do you have your messaging down, right? Have you gone out and like, this is my message, this is my unique selling factor. That way your appointment center, like, hey, this is who we help. This is, where you need to be. Do you qualify, as you move them along your pipeline, right? Your funnel, I should say, right?
Yeah.
100%. Love that. I appreciate that. Guys, so if anybody, we're coming up to the 40 mark here. I want to make sure I respect Daniel's time. Daniel, any like, I mean, you probably hear it all the time. Like when it comes to VAs, like guys, keep this in mind. Like you gave a lot of gold nuggets. We need to pick them up and look. It's not just hiring a VA, but it's hiring a solution. Do you have certain things ahead? So it definitely opened my eyes as far as VAs, and it's just not. I'm going to hire a VA and all my problems are going to go away, right? There's more to it than that. But any like parting wisdom as we come to a close here as far as the VAs, what do you have going on? How can those that are on here, those that are catching the replay, how can we go and support you? If you can speak on that.
Listen, man, what I tell everybody, businesses are built on processes, but scaled by people. I don't care who you are, what kind of business you run. If you want to be a serious business, you want to build an actual brand, you're going to have to get processes in there, and then you're going to scale that with talent, and you're going to scale that with the right talent. Just because someone's talented doesn't mean that they're the right individual for your company culture. That's all I can say. Businesses are, built on processes, but scaled by people. And I do want to say you need to identify the model that you want to use that's going to be beneficial for your business. You have two options. You can do kind of like the staffing route, the outsourcing route, where you go to somebody, I believe, like William Jones, outsource some of his talent. Or you could say, hey, listen, I'm ready to build my in-house team. I'm ready to start, hiring. You could do the interviewing yourself. You can contact someone like me who's going to, pretty much go out there, headhunt high performers, get them, screened, trained, placed in your agency. But nonetheless, you have to figure out which model is going to be beneficial for you. Some things can be outsourced at ease. Some, things some processes you want to control and you want in-house teams. So it really depends on what, a scenario you are at in your business.
Absolutely. Love it. Now, one thing, Daniel, that I ask all our guests, and then before that, where can we follow you? How can we contact you if we want to get it?
So Octotasker, I don't run a website. I run a Facebook funnel. So a lot of people ask me to get your website. You don't need to look at my website. Find me on Facebook, Daniel Jones Sr. Company's name is Octotasker. You'll go on my Facebook. You'll see exactly what I do, just like a website. You'll see a nice pinned post of all my client testimonials. I'll have a nice, it'll look exactly like a website would look like. And, then you can go right into my messenger. Yep, Daniel, someone asked, oh, that's William Jones. Oh, Alfred. Okay, cool. Just go directly to my Facebook page. You can go right to my personal profile, send me a friend request, message me if you need any help, whether anybody needs help with hiring advice, anybody needs help with actual hiring, I'm here, man. But yeah, Octotasker is the company name. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. Again, you could message me right on my personal Facebook as well.
Man, I love it because we just not too long ago, back again, talked about, guys, set up your Facebook as a funnel. And you took that to another level. Screw the website, go to my Facebook.
I'm not even doing the website. I had a client today. We were speaking over Messenger. He was asking a lot of questions. I wasn't trying to really sell him. And, I was just answering everything. He said, Dan, I know a lot of guys in the industry. You're pretty knowledgeable. I looked at your Facebook and I seen that you placed a marketing director. And I'm like, yeah, I did do that like a couple of weeks back. So anybody that's going to potentially be interested in your service, they're not going to look at your website. They're going to look at your Facebook. They're going to see what you got going on, what you're posting, what you're talking about. You could literally do the same thing you want to get on your website. You could do right on your Facebook. You're going to drive them right into your messenger. You're going to keep contact with them. You don't need a website.
Love it, love it, love it. Daniel, last question. I ask all our guests this. What is one fun fact about Daniel Jones Sr. that nobody knows?
Oh man, that's caught me off guard there. I got four nipples. I got four nipples, dude.
Four nipples.
Don't make don't make it weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
it looks like a bowl, yeah. But dude, yeah, I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
I'm pretty public, dude. I'm pretty public with my
Love it. Did we lose him? Uh-oh. So with that said, guys, I appreciate Daniel. It looks like he froze. We might have lost him. So I want to appreciate him. Guys, I hope you picked up a little bit of like gold nuggets that we was putting down. Make sure to reach out to Daniel on his Facebook. I put it in the chat. I will post it. Look up my friends. If you guys are friends with me on Facebook, we are friends. You know, reach out to them there. Those that are on the replay, I appreciate you. Those that are live, I appreciate it. We see a couple people on Facebook Live as well. With that being said, guys, much love, much success, and I'll see you on the next one.